Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar, full Budweiser flavor. For all the moments you want a beer and need to stay on your game. Budweiser Zero. Zero compromise.
Glenna J. Wallace, and I am chief of the Eastern Shawnee tribe in Ottawa County, Oklahoma. I was here in 2007 to hear the author, John Sugden, who had written a marvelous book about Tecumseh. And after that, the next day, they take that speaker and all who wish to go with that speaker to Newark Earthworks Mounds. I had spent the previous 3 years, actually 6 years, studying about my tribe, the Eastern Shawnee tribe, and about Ohio because we came from Ohio. And we were the first people to be forcibly removed when the Indian Removal Act was passed. So we left in 1832 and walked all the way to Indian Territory, which is now the state of Oklahoma. I was elected chief in 2006, and one of the first things that I wanted to do was to bring our people back to our homeland because we didn't know our history, we didn't know what had happened here in Ohio, where we had lived, where our sites were. And we wanted, in essence, it was a spiritual reconnection with Ohio. Then in 2007, Sugden was coming here, and I came to hear him speak and went to Newark Earthworks Mounds. Even though I had studied for 6 years, I had never read a word about Newark Earthworks Mounds. I had never heard a single person speak about Newark Earthworks Mounds. I've gone back, they simply were not mentioned, they were simply ignored. And so I was shocked whenever I realized that there was Newark Earthworks Mounds and I was going to go and see them, and I stepped up the steps. But before going up the steps, I realized that this is a sacred place, a revered place, but it has a golf course on top of it. And that particular day, quite by accident, they were having a large golf tournament. So they had extra people there, they had visitors, they had employees who were trying to drive their carts, who were trying to get people to a certain place, and we were trying to walk to the viewing platform. So we were in their way. They were impatient with us. They let us know that we didn't belong there, that we were halting things and that we shouldn't be there, and they asked us to move back and to keep moving back, and finally said we shouldn't be there, we should come back another day. And when they were told that it was Native Americans who were there to see it, we were told there's one day a year that you can come, and this is not that day. I did manage to make my way to the viewing platform, climbed up the steps, and when I looked out, because I had traveled so extensively in my teaching position at a college, I had been to so many World Heritage sites that the minute I saw what I saw, meaning the Newark Earthworks Mounds, I knew they were the equivalent of, if not better than, the Great Wall of China or the pyramids in Egypt or Mount Uluru in Australia or Stonehenge, and I can just go on and on. They were the equivalent, and they were not being revered, not being honored, and instead golf was taking place on top of them. At first I was elated that they were still in existence and that I had discovered them, seen them for myself, but then that elation turned to tremendous disappointment and then on to even disgust that they were being treated the way they were. I used the comparison that there's no way that I would go to our great cemetery there in Washington, D.C., and that I would do things, play games, do things on top of the Arlington National Cemetery. And our mounds are just as honorable, just as revered, should be just as sacred, but they were not being treated that way. And that no one seemed to know, and therefore no one seemed to care. And so at that moment it became my mission in life that somebody had to speak up, and I guess it had to be me. And so that's been one of my causes since 2007. And that has ultimately turned into, and certainly I'm not the only one responsible, but that has turned into a nomination for World Heritage classification for 8 mounds here in Ohio. And we are hopeful that that nomination will be designated as being accepted next year.
Mm-hmm. You recently have seen some of the mounds here.
Yes.
Your impressions of how they've been taken care of?
Again, I realize that not only has the World Heritage nomination affected Newark Earthwork Mounds, it has affected many other mounds in many other places in Ohio. And the conscience as a whole has been awakened, and they have responded to it. The Hopewell Mounds here are beautiful. They are immaculate. They are revered. Again, I don't think as many people know about them as should know about them. Oftentimes, we don't know what's in our own backyard, and it's time that we somehow let people know and get people involved, because it will bring many, many people here to see, and people will reap the advantages and the benefits of having that happen.
Mm-hmm. I know you have a working relationship with the outdoor drama Tecumseh. And I know that theater can change things. You have to tell the story as quickly as you can. But your impressions of what they're doing to try and keep the great Shawnee Chief's name alive?
First off, I'm appreciative that he is recognized, and as John Sugden said, he's probably the only Indian that has never had a negative thing said about him. Anytime anybody talks about Tecumseh, it's always in positive terms. Even though he fought in many battles, you don't hear the word of savage being used with Tecumseh. He's often praised for his intellect, for his ability to communicate, for the words that he states, for the values that he has. And this outdoor drama illustrates many of those and keeps that alive, and that's appreciated. After today's talk, I did talk with some of them from there, and they indicated they needed to change the pronunciation of some of the people. So we're all learning, we're all changing, and that's good.